Hello and welcome to Nationwide. We're broadcasting live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority from our studios here in Abuja. I'm Rhoda Anonem. We begin Nationwide with stories from the legislature. The Senate has passed a 2020 budget of 10.59 trillion naira as against the 260 billion naira, higher than the 10.3 trillion submitted by the President. Ignatius Nko is standing by to tell us more about it.
Well, it has been an intensive budget process at the National Assembly since President Muhammadu Buhari presented the budget on the 8th of October 2019. And then the Senate Committee on Appropriations has carried out budget scrutiny, and various MDAs came around and defended their budget. Well, at Wednesday's plenary, the committee presented its report, and today the budget has been approved with an increment of about 260 billion naira. Now, we are here with the Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations, who wants to tell us why the increase.
Well, what we did was that we acted on the wonderful proposal that was brought by Mr. President. But while we were processing the bill, we discovered certain revenue that were not captured. And we had to utilize the funds to now make up for those critical areas that were not fully funded. The executive is okay, they did a wonderful job, but these gaps, the revenues, the areas of revenue that were not really seen, we saw that, and then we saw them, and then we got them together and applied them to those critical areas that need further funding.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Right. Well, we have the spokesperson of the Senate here too, who wants to tell us the mood of the Senate and what Nigerians should expect from this early passage of the 2020 budget.
Well, first and foremost, I want to commend the sagacity of the Committee on Appropriation for good job done, because as a Senate and 9th Senate, we have promised Nigerians that we'll try as much as we can do to give up the budget or the bill before next year to meet up with the January-December budget cycle for proper and effective implementation. And today, as Senate, on behalf of the Senate President and all the entire senators of the 9th Senate, we want to commend the members and urge the general public for effective implementation of the 2020 budget.
Thank you for your time. Well, Nigerians are now expecting to see the impact of this early passage of the 2020 budget, especially as regards to the January to December cycle of the budget process.
Ignatius Nko there from the Senate. And similarly, the House of Representatives has passed the 2020 appropriation bill of 10.59 trillion naira. The budget is expected to run from January to 31st of December 2020 financial year.
Authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 10,594,364,830 naira only. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Appropriation bill passed.
The increase came as a result of an agreement between the executive and the legislators. There are some personnel inputs that has not been captured, equally with some capital inputs that have not been captured in the budget when the president brings in the budget. That is the decision we sat with the executive to look at it so that we can bring them within the budget, and we did.
What kind of impacts do we expect to see, since it's going to run from January 1st, 31st December 2020 financial year?
Where the impact will come more is with if you look at the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Normally project starts between the middle of the year during the rainy season, but now this project will start by January during the dry season. Works and Housing will enjoy more about this budget than any other agency.
Now, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says very soon the Senate will constitute its Committee on Constitutional Review. In a meeting with the European Union, Ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Senator Lawan explained that the Constitutional Review Committee has not been set up because the Senate has been preoccupied with other issues like the 2020 budget. He said by next year, January, the committee will start some work because already the Senate has some references that require some kind of constitutional review. Lawan expressed appreciation to the EU for its support to Nigeria, particularly in the areas of electoral reforms and political development and cooperation.
An opportunity to study the situations that vary with circumstances and, of course, where necessary, provide legislative remedy. This is the only way to fine-tune and sanitize our electoral system to such an extent that it will be more efficient. But this is going to be a little bit long process because even countries that have practiced democracy for over 200 years are still grappling with some challenges.
We hope to be able to establish even deeper relations. We already have very strong relations with the Senate and with the National Assembly as such. As you will know, we have an entirely new leadership in place in Europe as well.
Lawan solicited more support in the areas of capacity building, particularly for the Senate Committee on INEC, National Planning and Finance. The federal government's external borrowing plan of an additional $22.7 billion is intended to ease the burden of the nation's economy and make it work better for all the benefit of all Nigerians. This was part of submissions of guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria as they discussed the plans by the federal government to go for an external loan. Patricia Islamic reports.
The move by the federal government to borrow 1.92 trillion naira has generated a lot of concern in many quarters. However, the federal government maintained that the loan is necessary for the implementation of the needed infrastructural development nationwide for the benefit of all Nigerians.
The ERGP designed that we will do this by borrowing to build out critical infrastructure that are necessary to lay the foundation for growth. This borrowing plan includes railways for Lagos to Kano. It includes the coastal rail from Port Harcourt. It also includes transmission projects. It includes the Mambila Power Project. Of the 22.7 billion, 18.1 of that amount is for this major national project. There are also some economic value projects that are added. There are some projects that are meant to support the state. So the borrowing plan is for both the federal government as well as the state governments.
The minister further stated the fund will address capital projects that will stand the test of time.
It's either we borrow this low-cost, long-term loans and build critical infrastructure now to lay the basis for the growth of the economy, to improve the ease of doing business and also enable even small and medium enterprises to grow, to increase the productivity so that they can pay taxes subsequently to government. Or we wait, we do nothing and just use our revenues to pay salaries and carry out recurrent expenditure.
If you have infrastructure, you can attract investors. You can violate all benchmarks just because you have infrastructure. And that's why Japan can get away with a debt to GDP of 223%. And then you see America, everybody getting away with it, 180% increase. They're all getting away with those simply because they have infrastructure.
While all the guests say there is the need to enlighten the citizens on the proposed borrowed fund.
The disconnect between the citizenry and those in governance has to be, okay, fine, you're building infrastructure. They see it as aesthetics, okay? If they are not going to be part of it. How they can be part of it is that government must be able to now look at those sectors that can engage people.
When you now ask for new borrowing, Nigerians are very naturally going to be very skeptical. But what we're asking Nigerians is to say, look, from the time that we initially started borrowing under this administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, you have seen the results.
The guest also submitted on the need to re-emphasize on the gains for the nation as technically speaking, Nigeria is not eligible to even receive the loan. In Abuja, Patricia Miluba. NTA News.
Kaduna High Court has ordered Directorate of State Security Service to hand over the leader of the proscribed Islamic movement of Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife to one of the correctional centers in Kaduna. Abdullahi Muhammad reports that Justice Gideon Kura gave the order at the resumed trial of Sheikh El-Zakzaky. The report.
When hearing in the case resumed, Justice Gideon Kurada was confronted by arguments from counsels for Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and Kaduna State over the custody of the respondent and his wife. Two applications were put forward, one from the counsel to Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky asking the Honorable Justice Gideon Kurada to give respondents, that is, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and his wife, unhindered access to their lawyers, while counsels to the petitioner applied for Sheikh El-Zakzaky and his wife to be moved to a correctional center in Kaduna. Justice Gideon Kurada agreed with the latter.
The judge made a decision that the defendants, that is Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and his wife Malazina, shall be moved to the correctional facility from the DSS.
So the court ordered that and adjourned to the 6th of February to start the trial proper.
It means anytime his case is called upon in the court here, he will just take a few minutes and then attend to the proceedings in court here. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTN News.
Still staying with the judiciary, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has adjourned the trial of the convener of the Revolution Now protest of Shore due to the alleged refusal of the Department of State Services to obey its order on the defendant's bail. The presiding judge, Justice Ijoma Ojukwu, gave the ruling at Thursday's court hearing. Olabode Arewa reports.
At the resumed hearing of the trial of Omoyele Sowore and Adewale Bakare for alleged treasonable felony, money laundering, cyber stalking of President Muhammadu Buhari, the prosecution counsel, Azan Liman SAN, indicated readiness to commence trial. Counsel to Sowore Femi Falana SAN told the court it was only furnished with the proof of evidence on Wednesday and that the Department of State Services had not released the two defendants to enable their lawyers have access to them for proper defense. The prosecution counsel informed the court that the DSS had complied with the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act on the matter. However, the court decided otherwise and adjourned the case to Friday to enable the defense team prepare adequately for the defense.
Will be released definitely in compliance with the court order and the terms of the condition of the bill. Definitely will be released.
We're going to report on compliance before we can decide when the case will commence.
The court also awarded 100,000 naira cost against the DSS for delaying the trial. In Abuja, Olabode, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide, and we'll join Jennifer in Lagos for more reports.
And welcome to Lagos. Now, former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, has been sentenced to a maximum of 12 years imprisonment for 7.65 billion naira fraud. Justice Mohammed Idris, who passed the judgment at the Federal High Court in Lagos this Thursday, also ordered the forfeiture of his company, Lock Nigeria Limited, to the federal government.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, charged Orji Uzor Kalu, who is currently serving as a senator representing Abia North Senatorial District in the National Assembly, on a 39-count charge of fraud offences, alongside Udogu, his former Commissioner for Finance, and Slope Nigeria Limited. In one of the counts, the EFCC alleged that Kalu, who was Abia State Governor between 1999 and 2007, procured Slope Nigeria Limited, a company solely owned by him and members of his family, to retain in its account diverted funds domiciled with the then Inland Bank PLC, Apapa Branch, Lagos. EFCC claimed that the 7.65 billion naira formed part of the funds illegally derived from the treasury of the Abia State government. The defendants had pleaded not guilty to all counts. The prosecution counsel called 19 witnesses during the trial. Justice Muhammad Idris also convicted and sentenced his 2 accomplices who were also found guilty of a 7.65 billion naira fraud. They got multiple sentences between 3 and 10 years. Carlo has been remanded at the Ikoyi prison. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Now, the need for effective implementation and enforcement of laws at checkmating issues of violence against women and girls in Nigeria has been re-emphasized at a summit in Lagos. Wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshibajo, at the summit restated government commitment to the protection of women's rights. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports.
Ending violence against women and girls is a global challenge. Surmounting it in Nigeria is, however, achievable. This gathering believes women-friendly policies, zero tolerance for rape, and respect for women and girls, as well as creating safe spaces in tertiary institutions across the country, are critical to this. Wife of the Vice President Dolapo Oshibajo charged women to summon the courage to speak out in the event of abuse or other forms of molestation.
I'd like to advocate for much more work on prevention. I say this because looking into the eyes of a survivor or a victim, you realize very quickly that it takes much longer to sort them out than it would have been if the matter was prevented in the first place.
The program is spread across 6 states, and Lagos State is one of them. We are really looking forward to seeing a significant change in violence against women.
Panelists at the summit also called for gender equality and implementation of relevant laws.
In a country where 1 in 4 girls before the age of 18 would have had one violent encounter, the sheer magnitude of this problem has turned into an epidemic.
We have a bill that is coming up now that's speaking to sexual harassment at the tertiary institutions. I think these are all good steps.
The summit was organized by UN Women under the Spotlight Initiative as part of efforts of the World Day towards emancipation of women and girls. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
And on aviation, bill for amendment of Act 48 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Government of Nigeria, which seeks to enhance the air navigation services of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, has been forwarded to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari for public hearing. Chairman House Committee on Aviation, Nolim Naji, said this during the committee's oversight visit to the Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Michael Olaleye reports.
Chairman House Committee on Aviation, Nolim Naji, says the visit was to have a first-hand information on the state of the agency's operational equipment. The Aviation Committee members were taken on a tour of some operational sections of the agency. Chairman Inolim Naji stressed the need to upgrade NAMA equipment from manual to digital system and assured the agency of government support in the area of funding to achieve the goal.
We're also looking at the IGR, which we also believe will also pass if we approve the IGR. With the FGM budget and the IGR, they will do so many things that will benefit our people.
This is why it's very good that the chairman is here and the committee is here to see our area, what we need, what we have and what we need to upgrade on.
The Nigerian Airspace Management Agency is saddled with provision of air navigation services that will ensure safe, efficient, expeditious and economic flight operations. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Now that contribution from Lagos Nationwide continues after this break. Stay with us.
Head-to-head with Liverpool. Bournemouth aim to cause an upset this Saturday when they take on